Hey everybody, we're back on the long bed mafia here. And yes, the powder coater, when we left it off, we were all wondering if it was going to take 5 days. So yes, the powder coater got it back in 5 days. Well, they did it in 5 days. Took more to go get it and come back. But yeah, they did their part. They sandblasted the whole chassis and powder coated it in 5 days. So I'll insert a picture of their business card. If you want to use them for sandblast powder coat, there you go. But today we're doing a product review on CPP drop kit. Now, important note, you do have to call them to get the kit we got, which is a 4-inch drop in the front and a 6-inch drop in the back. You do have to call them. The website will only let you pick 1, 2, or 3-inch. So, important note, if you want to do a 4 and a 6 drop, you got to call it. All right, and you saw on the last video, we did the C-notch kit, and this little 1-inch drop here is how because the rear axle will set right here.
Okay.
It's going to set there, and that raises the rear end, which drops the truck the extra 1 inch. So otherwise, this is a 5-inch drop till you add this little block. Now, also important note, the kit does come with the shocks. But the little bracket here, the lower shock bracket, this one, and the upper shock bracket doesn't come with the kit. Now, we already had these from the chassis before. The truck had already been lowered a little bit before, so we had those brackets. But that's an important note. If you are doing this to your truck, either get these brackets or ask for them when you call, because these don't come in the kit. And the hardware doesn't come. The U-bolts and everything, but the hardware for the shocks themselves doesn't come. So hopefully when you buy your brackets, you'll get the hardware with it. Now, the kit does come with a new cross member. And note the orientation. The arm attachment is up. On the factory one, if you looked, the arm attachment was down here. But since we've dropped so extreme, the attachment point is up. And if you'll go down under here, when you install the arms, there is a left and a right. This is the attachment for the emergency brake cable. So you have to pay attention to which orientation. The emergency brake cable always goes on the outside. So even on factory control arms, I know these are tubular, but even on the factory control arms, they look identical, but they have only an emergency brake tab on one side. So when you're installing arms, even if you did factory arms, took them off, make sure you put them back on with the emergency brake on the outsides. Now this one we're going to do rear disc, which are Cadillac Eldorado calipers. So it's going to have rear disc, but even if you had the factory drum brakes on the outside, you still have the cable, and the cable connects here, then goes up and goes to the little idler keepers, and then goes up to the emergency brake pedal in the cab. So we've covered the shocks, which the shocks, like they give you a little arrow, tell you which
Yeah.
which way the
Up.
yeah, up. Yeah, it's kind of someone has done that wrong is why that little sticker is there.
Usually warning labels mean someone
Yeah.
someone's bamboozled something.
And we did get a new panhard bar. We kind of forgot that this one, we had that one because it was single adjustable, but you'll note the double adjustable. So we're going to find out when we install the rear end here and get weight on it that we may need it to be shorter. You notice it's noticeably shorter, so we may have ended up needing that. And this is extra. This does not come in the kit. You have to ask for that extra. So And we'll come on up to the front here. And surprisingly, all this went together relatively simply. You get new tubular upper control arms, the shocks, the lower control arms, and the ball joints are already in it. The instructions will tell you how to install the ball joints, but they were already put together in the kit. So I'm not sure if that's something they changed later or not. But it comes with the spindles, and now your brake attachment bracket. This is your caliper. Your rotor will go on here. Your brake caliper sits right here, and then the through bolts. This is extra. Does not come in the kit, so you will have to ask for this if you want it. If you, and this is for the stock GM. The reason they told me they don't include it in the kit is they don't know whether you're doing an aftermarket Willwood brakes.
Oh, well, that makes
stock
sense.
brakes. So this diameter, how far that bolt center line sits from the center line of the spindle, is in relation to how big a brake rotor you're putting on there. This is the stock brake rotor size. But say you put a giant, 18-inch rotor out here for something wild and crazy, your caliper would need to sit further out. So you'd need a different bracket. So they don't include that. They weren't terribly expensive, so it wasn't that big a deal to get it. But important note, when you have lowered as much as we did, the 4-inch, it comes with a different bracket because the factory drop bracket comes down this far and goes back up for the sway bar. So you have to take that off. But getting this nut in here, learn from my experience, put this bolt and this bolt in before you bolt this up to the truck. Because getting your fingers in here while holding up this giant sway bar was not the funnest thing we did.
Not a fun time.
That was actually the hardest part of the whole thing. But the control arms went in good. The springs, they went in fine. And actually, we did not have to use a spring compressor. These springs were short enough that they actually went in and we were able to bolt both ball joints, the upper and lower, to the spindle without using a spring compressor. We used the transmission jack to press up on the lower arm to give us enough tension to get the nuts together. But normally you have to compress these springs, in which we have no weight on here.
Right.
You see, we strapped it to the lift thinking we were going to have, it was going to want to flip off the lift for the weight of the springs. But it was just enough tension to put the bolts together. So
we lucked out.
yeah, we did luck out. That was pretty good. And the kit does come with a new steering box. So you get a whole new steering box assembly. We will need to get a pitman arm. We'll need to get a new idler arm, new tie rods. All that will still come. That does not come with the kit. You can get them, but it doesn't come with this kit. And let's see, same shock arrangement. You do get new hardware to mount the shocks. You don't on the back, but the front shocks do come with hardware. So, not sure what they were thinking on that, but okay, we're going with it. The motor mounts. Now we are doing an LS swap. You see it back there on the stand. We haven't got to that yet. But these are from BPR muscle rods, I think. I will insert a part number of these. We use these on the 65 Chevrolet that y'all saw us do last year, and these work great. Mm-hmm. So I like these the best. They make a bunch of adjustable ones, and these just fit right away. I mean, so I like these. I'll insert the part number. And we did get a cross member. This is not factory. This was just to hold it together for powder coating. But the cross member here is from Dirty Dingoes. It sounds like something Australian, but it's not. They're out of Arizona. But the reason we got this one is it's adjustable.
But I do have to insert something about this. That was some quick shipping.
On Dirty Dingoes?
On Dirty Dingoes, like...
Yeah, it was,
it was
all the way
fast.
from Arizona. Yeah, from Arizona to Virginia, they were Johnny on the spot. It was in the box.
I mean, it wasn't...
And I believe they even called me back that day.
They did.
To make sure on the address.
They did. They did. So that's great.
Yeah,
So,
they were Johnny on the spot. It was shipping that day. So the reason we went with theirs is Summit sells a bracket very similar to this. It doesn't hump up as far for as big an exhaust, but there's no adjustable. And I figured since our truck is lowered this much, my driveline angle may change and I may need this adjustability to get the correct angle. So this was, I think, 180 bucks. And I think the one from Summit is $100. But like I say, it's fixed. It's not adjustable. It is what it is.
Right.
So we went with the adjustable just because we were lowering at extreme angles. I wanted the driveline angle to be just right. So, plus this one, like I said, this one actually gives you more clearance. The one for Summit, I believe the bend is about here. So you lose almost an inch of space for your exhaust. But we've covered the cross member.
I don't know if I showed a good view of the cross member on the other.
And it does have to flip the bearing over. These, from the factory, these trucks had a carrier bearing, had a 2-piece drive shaft, came out of the transmission, came here to a U-joint and a carrier bearing, and then this pivoted with the trailing arms. Just this part of the drive shaft moved, and if you were going to leave that, if you're going to still make it a 2-piece, they give you the hole provisions already in there to bolt the bearing. You can use a factory bearing. Now the one from the factory hung from the top, the bearing, on a factory cross member, but this one they mounted on the bottom because your drive shaft's gonna be up towards this anyway when the truck drops out. So, fun fact for the cross member. So we got the shocks, the trailing arm, and like I say, the only thing on the back is you don't get the hardware for the shocks and you don't get the brackets. Mm-hmm. So, and I believe these brackets are from early Classic. If I can find the part number for them, I'll insert them. I think it says it on that side. If you look from this side, it says on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe the camera will show it, maybe not. Okay, but yeah, so now we have to clean the rear end and paint it. Yes, it's kind of grody. It needs a good deep cleaning. It'll get scrubbed and we're gonna wire wheel all the rust off of it.
I spent a little time with it the other day.
I know, you did good on removing the grease chunks. You did really good. So Angie gets props on that. And the last piece of the puzzle here is the rear sway bar.
Oh yeah.
Which the rear sway bar comes with all these pieces, all the kit here. And you have to drill the frame to mount, but you got to have it at ride height. So we're going to hold off on mounting that bar just yet because we don't have the truck sitting there. Well, number one, the rear end's not in it. And number two, we don't have it at ride height.
Right.
So we're not going to drill the frame till we have the truck sitting at ride height, and then we can come back and add that. The sway bar bolts on with these U-bolts and brackets. I don't know if it shows. Yeah, it shows it bolting to the trailing arms anyway. There's the assembled picture of it. So it won't be that big a deal to put on the truck. We'll just put on lift, install it, and then lower it down and mark where we need to drill the frame. So yeah, we have to finish. We're gonna finish assembling the engine, put it in the paint booth. We have the transmission. We're gonna paint the engine and transmission. We're gonna paint them silver, and I think that'll look good against the black.
Definitely.
So yeah, that is catching you up on the Long Bed Mafia, and like I say, the CPP kit. We didn't learn anything amazing that I wouldn't buy it again. I mean, it came with pretty much everything other than the few little things that we mentioned. It doesn't come. We went ahead and got new nuts for the upper control arms. It does not come with those. So we went ahead and got new ones, but that's a little bit of hardware that it doesn't come with. And the U-bolts that hold the lower control arms on, it does not come with those. You have to reuse your old U-bolts. So, yeah, that's our product review. I think we did CPP, the muscle rods, motor mounts, and Dirty Dingo's crossmember. I will insert part numbers of each one so everybody can see what, go research it for yourself. But I think for one afternoon, I think we've accomplished a lot.
Yes, definitely.
So, and if you're local, come out to the MDA show.
Come see
which
us.
Is 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Two weekends?
Not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday.
Is it March 9th and 10th? I think it's 9th and 10th.
I think it is. Hold on. Hold, please.
Hold, please. It's coming up fast.
It is the 9th and 10th.
9th and 10th. I was good.
Good job.
I used my memory for something. So come out. If you're local to Roanoke, Virginia, it is for a charity. So it's a,
wonderful charity.
Wonderful charity. So please come out, see some great cars, and if you're there, we'll have a booth and you may run into us.
Yeah, stop by, say hey.
Stop by and say hi.
That's right.
But how we end all of our videos, thank you, Lord. Thank you for today.